Funding for this program is provided by Bruce Foods Corporation, makers of the complete line of Cajun King seafood seasoning mixes and other distinctive Louisiana-style food products.
Louisiana. Hello, I'm Chef John Folse, welcoming you to this great state of ours. We're real proud of our people, places, and food, and I'd like for you to know a little bit more about it. So join me and some of my friends as we visit the historical food towns of this state and cook up another great Taste of Louisiana. Everybody, and welcome to A Taste of Louisiana. I'm Chef John Folse, and I tell you, thank you so much for coming into my kitchen as we seek out those great historical food towns of Louisiana. Today we're going to southeast Louisiana to Terrebonne, that's French for the good earth, to the town of Houma to see a little bit of the sights of the Bayou country and to visit with the Dusenberries. This is Bayou Barf. When you talk about the swamplands and bayou country of Louisiana, this is what we talk about. Look at those gorgeous snowy egrets flying right over the bayou country. This little boy, look how beautiful he is. That little alligator is about 2 feet long and 2 years old, and we can tell that because the distance between his eyes is about 2 inches, and the distance between the eyes tells the length as well as the age of that little alligator. This is Bayou Barf, as I say, and this flows in to gorgeous Lake Disalmond, again, French for the Germans, Lake of the Germans. This little house is the home of La Trouvaille, and my guest today is this gorgeous lady. This is Mama Dusenberry, one of the great cooks of Houma in Terrebonne Parish. When we talk about the good earth, I tell you, nothing better than this little place on the good earth, La Trouvaille. This is a little cabin that Mama Dusenberry cooks some really choice Cajun meals in a couple of days a week, and she's going to tell us about why she does it and who she does it for. One of the greatest things about my job is to be able to find places like La Trouvaille and people like Mama Dusenberry, because I get to sample all of that great Cajun cooking, and this plate of pork roast and rice dressing, black-eyed peas, and oh yeah, look at this. This is praline ice cream and a little bit unbelievable pecan pie. The Dusenberry Singers, one of the great things that happen here. Fact is, I want you to listen to what the Dusenberry Singers sound like.
Have good time, the sweet Susan, stay on the bar and love that Cajun pan. Back over there. Bayou Blue.
This guy right here is called Cocodrie Dundee. He sings with the family every day. I had to clap. I'm sorry if I disturbed the music for a minute. I had to get into it. Look at the smiles on the faces of the people visiting this wonderful little Cajun cabin in Houma, Louisiana. These people are a church group out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that happened to be eating at the restaurant that particular day. And is there any doubt that they're having a good time? Look at the faces of the people in this particular picture. Everybody's up clapping and having a great time. It's always a little bit harder to get the guys into it. The ladies are always jumping up. Hey, look, am I right or what? It's always just a little hard to get the guys jumping up. But if anything can make it happen, it's these wonderful singers. They get together every, I think it's one Sunday a month, actually. The singers come together at the Dusenberry cabin to make music for all of the guests who just happened to visit that wonderful little town of Houma, Louisiana. And as I said, we're going to visit with Mama Dusenberry. You're going to love her. I love her, and I know you will. She's a great cook with many, many good stories. I told you that Terrebonne Parish is French for the good earth. Well, right south of that in Lafourche Parish is one of the great lakes that's called Lake Disalmond, Lake of the Germans. And the foods that come out of that lake was subsistence for most of the Cajuns who settled in that part of Louisiana in the late 1700s. Lake Disalmond is known for a lot of things: skiing, fishing, hunting, a lot of hunting camps there. But more importantly, it's known for its blue crabs. A lot of great crabs in that lake. And some of the things I'm going to do for you today is going to be with Lake Disalmond crabs. And the first dish that I want to do, and I want you to look right down on this beautiful blue platter that I have here. This is the pearls of Bayou country, the wonderful crab meat. And look at the different crab meats we in Cajun country have to work with. And all we have to do is go set a net in Lake Disalmond. Here's the white crab meat. This is off of the back fins of the crab. And, of course, this is the claw meat. I think this is probably the sweetest and most flavorful of all of the crab meats. Here we have the crab claws. Look at the meat out of that claw. This comes right out of that big jumbo piece of meat right here. And when deep fried, it's spectacular. Of course, this is the jewels, as I say, the pearls of Bayou country. This is the jumbo lump crab meat. This stuff sells anywhere in season for about $7 a pound and out of season for about, I guess $14. Season for crabs, of course, is in the spring and early summer. Normally we have big crab boils around July 4th, and that kind of, in most cases, ends it, I guess. But we're going to do today, the first dish is going to be a Lake Disalmond crab cake. Very simple to do, and there's a lot of crab cakes or many different boulettes or little patties that's made marrying seafood with vegetable flavors in Louisiana, and I guess all over the world. But we really pride ourselves in this one particular dish, and I'm going to use some of this jumbo lump crab. I'm not going to use all of this other meat because I don't want you talking about how chinchy I am. I want to put the real stuff down in here, even though I have to tell you, I think this crab meat, the claw, is a lot sweeter. In fact, I'll put a little bit in there for me. I'll get this out of the way. And to make my crab cakes, once I get the crab meat down into the bowl, then I need to put all of my ingredients. In classical crab cakes, we always start with a little bit mayonnaise. This kind of holds it together. I'm going to put a little Creole mustard. Of course, feel free to use any German mustards or any other mustards, Dijon mustards, whatever you like. I like the Creole mustards because it's got a certain flavor that's typical and reminiscent of the city of New Orleans. I'll mix those flavors together. Of course, I'll have to put a little basil, a little thyme, a little cracked black pepper, a little bit Worcestershire sauce, a little bit Louisiana hot sauce, and of course use as much or as little of any of these ingredients as you would like. The colors of Louisiana, because this is going to be a sauteed crab cake, and it does need all of those pretty colors to show up nicely. A little parsley. Look at the ingredients going into this. Imagine that. Not only is it for flavor, but obviously it's for color and eye appeal as well, which is very important in our food. Okay, now I'm going to crack one egg into the dish. Come on out of there, shell. I'm going to put one egg in, and of course, as the egg starts to cook in with the meat, it'll hold the crab cake together, which is very important to hold it so it doesn't all fall apart. And what else holds it together? Well, a little seasoned breadcrumbs. You can either make your own and season them, or you can buy them in the store already done. I have some breadcrumbs here, and I don't like a lot of bread in my crab cakes. I like just enough to pick up all of the moisture so that once the breadcrumbs blend in well with all the seasonings, it'll be just enough to hold everything together. I'll put just a little bit more. You'll have to look and notice yourself exactly how much you think you need. But sometimes if the eggs are bigger, you'll need a little bit more breadcrumbs. If they're smaller, well, not quite as much. Okay, now that it's all blended together, and of course, again, please feel free to use whatever seasonings are used around your home normally. I'll turn up my little black iron skillet here while I form the patties. And look at this. I'll just form that right into a nice little crab cake like that. Look at those pretty colors coming through. You can imagine the flavor as well. You could use a lot of garlic if you would like. You could use more onions, celery, whatever you want to put into this little cake. Then I'll dust it and just a little more of the seasoned Italian breadcrumbs, and I'll put it right down into the saute pan, and we'll make another one real quickly. These crab cakes, of course, will cook very, very quickly. You're not going to have to wait a day for these things to cook because the crab meat obviously is already done. There's not very much seasonings that need to be wilted in here. You basically need to set the egg that's we added to it, and that'll hold the crab all together. So I'll let this saute for just a second, and while this is sauteing, I want to make a quick little sauce, a little bitty, it could be a Remoulade sauce, it could certainly be any one of the cocktail sauces that we use in Louisiana cooking, but I'm going to make a quick little Remoulade, and you can see how these things are browning if you take a look down into this skillet. In fact, I'll turn this one for you quickly. Look how that browned just beautifully so quickly there. I'll do the same thing. I'll turn this one over. And let's make this sauce. I've added just a little bit mayonnaise to the bottom of the bowl. And again, I'm going to put some of the similar ingredients as in the crab cake. A little bit Creole mustard, a little bit of this tomato ketchup or tomato sauce. That's what gives Remoulade sauce its nice pink color. And then some sweet pickle relish. And of course, you can chop your own cucumbers or sweet dill pickles. I'm going to put a little touch of pepper, a little touch of salt, and of course some of my own herbs, a little basil, thyme. I'll even put a touch of garlic in here. You know how much I love garlic. But it just goes to show you can use similar ingredients to create dishes that are totally different. A lot of these same ingredients are in the crab cake, but obviously it's going to be totally a different taste from the Remoulade, which has the same ingredients. Okay, now let me clean this board off so you can see this beautiful presentation. My little cabanossi bowl here. I'll take the crab cakes, turn that fire off. I'll take the crab cakes and place them right in the center of the little cabanossi bowl. Look how beautiful those are. And then I'm going to top them with some of that Remoulade, but I definitely want to get this saute pan out of the way. Okay, and my Remoulade sauce is all done, so I'll take a nice big spoonful of that and right in the center of the crab cakes. Isn't that pretty? Imagine how great these would be. And you can also put these on, let's say a couple hamburger buns, or serve them by chopping them up with a little cocktail sauce and putting them in a chafing dish for a cocktail party or hors d'oeuvre party. But I love them just like this, 2 on a plate as an entree. Absolutely fantastic, the crab cakes. Now, the next dish I want to show you is a real fast dish, and this is the baked garlic crabs. And again, I'm going to take my little saute pan and start to heat that up because I want to get it nice and hot to make the sauce. We're using crabs that are already cleaned, as you can see in the bottom of this baked garlic crab bowl. You can see the orange fat. This is the roe or the eggs of the crab, and naturally that's where a lot of the great flavor comes from. But I'm using the blue crab, and I want to show you the difference between a male and a female crab, how you can tell them apart. The male, of course, this little flap is long and skinny. The female crab has a wide flap, and this is where the eggs or the roe deposited right when the crabs begin to spawn. And when cleaning them for the garlic crabs, we actually just pop the shell right off like this, and it exposes all that natural fat and flavor. And then we clean all of these little feelers or these little lungs or gills, whatever, out. Clean it real nicely, and then we maintain the whole body down into the bowl. So I'll get these out of the way now that you've seen that. And they're all ready to go, so I'm going to make a fast sauce. Now, this is a garlic sauce, and I'm going to begin with a little bit buttery flavored oil down into the pan. Now, this is a low cholesterol oil, so I don't want you to panic when you see all of that oil down into the bottom of my skillet. Then I'm going to put a little bit olive oil, because these garlic crabs right here need a little bit of that olive oil flavor, plus the olive oil will keep the buttery flavored oil from scorching. So I always put about equal parts. Into that, naturally, a little onions, celery, bell pepper, all of the flavorings that you would normally use in your cooking. Now, this does not have to cook for a long time, because remember, this is going to bake right into the garlic crabs. Garlic crabs, we have to have garlic and a lot of it. Little garlic here. And then, look at this. Big, gigantic cloves of garlic. I've peeled about 40 cloves of garlic, And this garlic is going to go right down into the saute pan, every one of them, if you can imagine that. This is garlic crabs. So I'll turn this heat down, stir that around just a little bit. Now, of course, green onions. Got to have a lot of green onions. Got to have a lot of this pretty color. Red bell peppers, yellow bell peppers. And then Worcestershire sauce. This is one of these dishes that you can really get creative with. Use whatever flavors you would like. Little hot pepper sauce down into it. And of course, naturally, the butter is picking up all of the flavors of that garlic and olive oil and all of those wonderful things, naturally the big cloves. And I'll pour this right on top of the garlic crabs, right into the platter, just like this. Look how beautiful that is. You could almost eat it just like that, right? But this is going to bake at about 375 degrees for about 15 or 20 minutes so that all the wonderful flavor of the garlic will come together on these crabs, and then you eat them just like you would boiled crabs or steamed crabs up in Maryland. Wonderful flavor. Let me show you what they look like, because I have some already done over here in the oven. I want to show you this. And of course, you would have to have a nice loaf. Get a good look at that while I close this oven. You would have to have a nice, wonderful loaf of hot French bread to dip down in that garlic sauce to pick up all of those wonderful flavors. So that's the garlic crabs, and I would, in addition to the crabs, if I was doing a nice Lake Disalmond dinner, I would have to, of course, have a nice platter of Lake Disalmond catfish, because Lake Disalmond is known for his catfish. And look at here, I have whole fried catfish. I have catfish steaks. Look at that beautiful steak of catfish. And this is from the town of Manchac, Louisiana, where the catfish strips are cut very long and lean and then pan-fried with hush puppies and a little beignet right here. Just a really wonderful addition to any dinner that reflects the flavor of Lake Disalmond in Lafourche and Terrebonne Parish. Okay, now that's just a couple of the things. I promised that you would be meeting a wonderful friend of mine a little bit later. Well, later it is. And I want you all to meet Mama Dusenberry, the owner of La Trouvaille, the great restaurant in Houma, Louisiana. How you doing, baby?
The smells are out of this world.
Well, great.
I smell it all this.
Well,
Look what I brought you.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, a little corn shuck chef.
This is,
that was made by my mama, who's 87 years old.
This is actually made right out of corn shucks,
Right out of corn shucks.
The hair, the pans. This is me, right?
That's you.
This is me. I'll tell you.
It doesn't have your name right there, but
well, she really captured the expression. That's what I'll add. Tell her thank you so much.
Well,
this is wonderful. So how you been?
We fine, but I tell you what, John, this is. I thought you needed some help, but you had everything. You have everything done.
Look, when I walked into your kitchen, I thought you needed help too, but you had everything done. What a great day that we spent over in Houma at La Trouvaille.
It was nice to have you.
You know, when I think of Cajun names, I think of Fontenot, I think of Boudreaux, I think of Folse. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I
you're
think
right.
of Folse, that's German. Dusenberry, I don't know, that's not too Cajun.
No,
where did that come from?
That came from, Holland, I guess, along the German Dutch coast. And the old man came down, I guess, maybe in the early 1800s, went all the way down by Montague, met a girl who worked at Last Island.
Oh, that's a famous story.
An Irish girl, yeah. She worked probably at one of the hotels. And he married her. Her name was O'Rourke. Then their son married a Guidry, and then their sons married Cajuns, and so here we are.
So the Dusenberries are finally a Cajun
Oh, they
name.
Cajunized. Everybody gets Cajunized right down here. Yeah.
Well, you know, when we happened upon La Trouvaille, which was a very interesting name because in French, travail means to work. And I saw that name, La Trouvaille, and I said, well, that's got to have something to do with work. Where did the name come from?
Well, the work it is, but not hard work. But we found the name after we had found the old house, we found the old dishes, and we were looking for a name, and Mama had an old French dictionary, and there it was, Trouvaille, and we said it's perfect, because La Trouvaille means a lucky find, it means a godsend, and we found that, since we had found everything, we found it was our godsend, our lucky find. So.
Well, I tell you, it was our lucky find that day as well. How did it all begin? How does a mother of 12 children. You have 12 wonderful children. How does one day how you decide you're going to get into, and I don't want to call it a restaurant because it's not a restaurant at all, but tell me, how did La Trouvaille begin?
Well, I don't exactly know how it began, except before we opened La Trouvaille where it's now, about in 1974 we found an old house, and my sister and Mama and a friend of ours got together, and we, as a hobby, we did something twice a week. And then as in 76 we decided we didn't want to do that anymore. And then 79 we found this old house, and I asked everybody, y'all want to do it again? And they said they were tired fixing up old houses. So we started La Trouvaille with all the children. I could cook, we could sing, we could, I think that the Cajun hospitality is one of the best, Southern hospitality. And so we had all that, and we put it together in an old house. And voila, La Trouvaille.
And it just started to work for you. Well, when I was there, and I want to continue to talk because I want to find out about the singing and some other things, but when I was there last, I sampled a dish that you weren't serving to the public, but it was always in the refrigerator. I always look in the refrigerator when I visit somebody's house. That's where the food is. There was a great dish that you told me was called
Old Maid potato salad.
Old Maid's potato salad. And how did it get that name?
Well, I tell you what, Chef. People, ladies, old maids or whatever, had potatoes and they had eggs, but they had to sell the eggs for the money. That was something they could get some money to buy the other ingredients like flour and sugar. So they'd make the potato salad just with the potatoes and the oil and the vinegar and stuff like that.
And they would sell the eggs. And
they would sell the eggs
no mayonnaise.
Yeah, no mayonnaise, nothing, just plain and simple.
Talking about no mayonnaise, you brought me today an early mayonnaise maker that was found in just about every home. And this little mayonnaise maker was actually, you put the eggs in the bottom, and then the oil in there. And then you put the oil. There was even a place to measure it, and then you would sit here and just kind of whip it together.
This was after the fork.
Yeah. And you would create a great mayonnaise for eggs. I want you to help me as I share with all of my good buddies out here the recipe for Old Maid's potato salad. Now, we started off with a little bit boiled potatoes, right? So I want to stir those in as I put a little touch of olive oil. Now, of course, you can use regular vegetable oil. You can use butter. We want to mix all of those together. If you would do that for me with that little spoon. Hey, look, you know how to cook. I don't have to tell you how to mix anything up there, huh? Okay, into that, I would flavor it with a little bit purple onions. You can use garlic or, and in fact, I'm going to use a little garlic, but purple onions add color as well as flavor. Isn't that nice looking? And then
Garlic.
a little garlic. You have to put some garlic in there. And a little green onions. Isn't that pretty? No, you know about my color. You know how much I love color.
Yeah.
Look at that, like that.
Look
A
at that,
little red, a little yellow. Got to put a little yellow bell pepper. I believe food's got to look good. Doesn't that smell good, too?
It smells good,
A little vinaigrette, as we say, a little vinegar. And, of course, you can use red vinegar, white vinegar, whatever you would like. While you're stirring that, I would like to ask probably the most important question. 12 kids, are they all involved? I should say, how did they get involved? How did you get them all involved in the business? But are they all involved?
Most of them are involved. We had 9 daughters and 3 sons, and the 9 daughters participate mostly on all, almost all the family comes on the first Sunday. But ordinarily during the week, we have 2 of the daughters, 3 of them that just come and help out, because everybody else has to do like the old maids, they have to sell, get money to do whatever, and so they come on the weekend. And
So you're open 3 days a week during the season, the spring and the fall, and then people can come, and about 50 people at a time, you told me?
Yeah, well, what we do is we open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I cook only for 25 people, unless I know other people are coming, if the people call out. But if nobody calls, I cook for 25 people. On the first Sunday, we do for 50 people, and we ask everybody to call because that way I know how much to cook.
And that's when all the family gets together and actually do the singing.
On the first Sunday.
How many people are singing on that particular day?
We always hope for the whole 9 girls to come. The 3 boys have other things that they do. My oldest son is a professional musician, and the youngest son is a captain for the boat. So.
You were telling me that the singing actually started quite accidentally, and that actually brought La Trouvaille. How did that happen?
It began in 1964 with a large family. We had a lot of people helped us. And that particular Christmas, I was telling my Nan, that we wished we had gifts to give. And she said, I know what you can give. You can give a song. So she brought us all over town, and she'd knock on the door. And when people would come, she'd say, this is Wilma Jean's Christmas present. And she'd say, sing, sing. And that's how we got started singing.
And now the Dusenberry family singers have actually sung all over the world, right?
Yeah, well, a few places, yeah. It's wonderful. The music has just brought us to places we never would have dreamed.
You know,
and then it brought us to La Trouvaille.
It's typical of the Cajun culture, I guess, a lot of family. What makes the Cajun people different from anybody else in the world?
Well, I tell people I don't know if I'm a true Cajun because I poop out at 1:15. But the difference is that, first of all, there's a work ethic, a hard work ethic, religion, spirituality, joie de vivre, which, it's that the joy of living, the joy of food, the joy of, it's just a wonderful, a Cajun is wonderful.
And it all centers around the family. That's
family. And family is the most important.
Family is obviously the most important. Well, look, yeah, you got to stir your potato salad. Once all of this comes together, of course, we would put it in a nice bowl. We could season it with a little pepper and a little bit salt, and of course, you can put it in a nice big old bowl and serve it. And I tell you, this will be every bit as good as a potato salad with the mayonnaise and the mustard and the eggs. And I tell you something else, a lot healthier for you than all that other stuff.
Without the mayonnaise,
but I think we spoil today, and people have a tendency to think more is better. And more is not always better in cooking, especially. So anyway, this is one of the dishes that you're going to serve. And if anybody goes out there and she doesn't have it, open the refrigerator. Maybe it's in there. Look, thank you so much for coming and visiting with me today. It's just really special to have you here. And I want to tell all of these guys out here, come back and visit us again right here as we continue to seek out these great historical food towns and cook up those Taste of Louisiana. We're going to play with potato salad. See you later.
Funding for this program was provided in part by Bruce Foods Corporation, makers of Bruce's Yams and other distinctive Louisiana-style food products.
Chef John Folse has written a cookbook that allows you to explore the exciting world of Louisiana cuisine. The Evolution of Cajun and Creole Cuisine is a full-color, 352-page book containing food history and recipes for gumbo, jambalaya, makshu, and other Cajun dishes. For your copy, send a check or money order for $24.95 to Louisiana Public Broadcasting at the address on your screen. To use your credit card, call toll-free 1-800-973-7246 or visit our website at lpb.org.